We've been looking in people's sheds for quite a number of years now, and we've looked at all sorts of machines, and it goes on wheels, or it goes on tracks, or it flies, or it goes on rails. We've seen it all, but with me is Jeff, and Jeff, welcome to our little show. And I have to say, I've been boating for many years, and I have never, ever in my life seen something as spectacular as this boat. I think it's got more bling than most of the cars you see going to the shows these days. But this is all you're doing? You've done all this?
Yeah. No, when I originally got the boat, it was pretty plain looking, and having looked at all the boats I had in similar time in America, which were full of bling, I thought that's what I want. So I started blinging it up, adding bits to it. You give it a little bit more of a zing, and I think I've achieved that.
Plus. Now tell me, was it always red and white, or
blue and white?
Blue and white.
Blue, yeah. Because to match the car,
yes.
I towed.
So how hard was it to turn blue to red?
Well, because the whole thing was sanded back down again and take all the gel coats off and everything. So again, something I didn't do, because again, get the professional to work on it.
And they did a wonderful job.
Yeah.
And red and white. He's got a car that we'll look at in a minute that tows this thing, matching colour. But there's plenty of room in the back here. I mean, if I was looking for a little fishing boat back in the time, this is just plenty of room. You know, two guys sit out the back here in these little seats, and fishing right over both sides. The outboard motor is a Johnson, and it says on the little logo at the back there, it's Johnson since 1946.
Right.
They start about then. I thought they may have started a bit earlier, but it says Johnson since 1946, so it must have been the time, straight after the war. Yeah. And they've always seemed to me to keep that square shape that this cowling's made to. And does it go?
It did when I got it. I've never tried to start it because it's a manual start, and I have a bit more respect for my shoulder and muscles than trying to pull that thing to start it.
So you've got to shift that little cover off the front, and there's the
handle.
Handle. Wow.
It's got a decompression lever.
That's it.
But it's still
still hard.
Yeah.
Hard work, yes.
Yeah, a lot of hard work.
And the steering column, I mean, back in the time, everybody had rope like that's got, and as time comes forward, of course, they've gone to hydraulics, and makes it life a lot, just with your.
Yeah.
And what you've got in here, there's a camera here, folks. It's actually quite heavy, but if you're filming some fishing, this is just the thing you would have had back in the time. Great little case. It's called a Minolta, and it's a little box, a case the whole thing came in. And is this a chili bin?
So it's a flash chili bin for the fish.
It's a very flash chili bin, I'd say. Little tartan around it, yeah. And you undo the little springs, up goes the lid.
Yep.
And to keep things cold, I mean, how long would the ice last in that?
I'm not sure. I haven't tried.
No. Oh well. Anyway, it looks absolutely looks the part.
Yeah.
In this little compartments here, there's storage for all sorts of things: towels, togs, bait. Dare I say? And the all goes into there. And then in the front, you've got a very old-looking VHF radio, single sideband, I think they were called. Yeah. And an aerial to go with it. You could talk on those things. I think you could talk to people in Invercargill on a single sideband radio.
It's pretty big, pretty powerful.
And I know when I was working on the seine boats in the 1970s, that was the radio that they had in them. You sort of talk to other fishing boats or the land or what have you. There's a speedo, there's a rev counter, there's a Coca-Cola. Is that a special Coca-Cola holder?
Well, especially you could put your bottle in there to And because it moves with as
it's the
the
gimbal.
slope of the time.
Yeah,
Water.
up.
Yeah.
And little switchboard in front of that. A rear vision mirror, which I never had on any of my boats.
Well, that's a ski mirror. Yeah.
Oh,
Especially done for ski work.
Yeah, right. So you can see if he's fallen off or not. But most of the ski guys, I guess if it's just you and you've got to see where you're going, that's handy.
Yeah.
But most of the ski people have somebody sitting here actually whose job is to watch the skier.
Yeah, well, it's with the hole in the bottom there.
Ah,
The
right.
ski.
The pole sits up. Yeah.
And you have, I don't know if with this one is
Ah, look at that. And if you're rolling along, you just put your cigarette ash or the front of your smoke into that and give it a tap and back in your gob.
yeah. I think they would have used it if you were doing something with your both hands, somewhere to put your cigarette while you were
While you're doing something.
doing something. Yeah.
Wow. Just coming forward with the big horns there, that's going to blow them out of the water. If you come up behind them, get out of my way.
Yeah, that'll make a lot of noise.
I had a mate who pinched a train horn out of a train and stuck it in his truck.
Oh, okay.
And
Whoa.
so if he's coming up to somebody, get out of the way. Graham Poulter was his name. He put it into his old Leyland. He worked for Brennan's from Pyro to Auckland, but this train horn, boy, was it loud.
I can imagine. Yeah.
I guess it's probably illegal too, but who knows. Just coming forward to the front there, there's a little fairlead on the front here, and it says France Craft. Maybe just tell me about the France Craft.
Yeah, well, France Craft, which was started by Arnold France in Christchurch, he was the first person in New Zealand to build fiberglass boats. He started in 1955.
Oh,
And this one, I think, I call it a 58, but it's pretty close when he made these. And then just not long after that, he also started making jet boats. In association, he worked a lot with Hamilton.
right.
And in fact, he in his later years said he probably could have got a little bit more kudos than Hamilton gave him in his input into jet boating.
Right.
But yeah, made in Christchurch, which surprises a lot of people when they see it. But fiberglass boats were, on the go in New Zealand in the late 50s.
And previous to that, it was all wood, I suppose.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I think the aluminium might have.
May have, yeah.
Yeah.
Would have been a really old one if it was.
Yeah.
I don't think Parker Craft were around quite then,
Yeah.
with the riveted jobs.
Yeah.
And just the trailer, it says T-knee, and something in my head says American.
Yeah, well, Teeny's an American trailer, and it's although it's not an original TD, I used it because TD, one of their factors was always painted their trailers yellow.
Oh,
So I thought, that's quite a neat colour to go to match the whole thing. And one of the unusual features there is that yellow that you see is all made from wood.
well, you could have fooled me. Wow. Even on the mudguard, folks, there's a little side light that looks like it's come off the top of a truck.
Yeah,
But
truck
certainly,
light, yeah.
it certainly suits the boat. I just see there's a fiberglass windscreen here that's sort of curved, and it only just really is it glass or just perspex?
Yeah.
I suppose you can curve perspex
Yeah.
easier than you can.
It would have been glass originally.
Yes, yeah. And I love the way they've just bolted it on, screwed it down. It's there. Yeah.
Yeah,
Beautiful.
no, it's quite I know even some Americans in the boat people who saw pictures of this were impressed with that because all boats of the time used more the traditional screen, and no one had ever seen one that was more automotive looking.
Yeah, yes.
Yeah.
Amazing. Searchlight,
Yep,
come out and point it around.
you can do, yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You've thought of everything, Jeff. You've absolutely thought of everything. A bit of comfort here with a bit of seat in the, yeah.
Yeah, no, just put the cushions in there, give it a little bit of comfort.
Amazing. Well, folks, I hope you're impressed as much as with this as I am. And Jeff, you've got a lot more stuff to have a look at, so
Yeah.
let's pop into the garage, and we'll see you after the break. Well, here I am in the cafe, and it's just like going back to 1950. The chairs of the time, Formica I think it's all called, and the black and white floors. There's Elvis Presley over there, there's a jukebox over there, there's memorabilia behind me, that beautiful montage of cars behind me. There's even an old Dodgem. Remember the Dodgems that they used to show? Boom, boom, boom. Wonderful. And I'm having a big breakfast. It's bacon and eggs. And so if you come here with your group to have a look at the museum, you can sit down and have a wonderful meal before you even start. So look at that. Bacon and eggs, sausages, tomatoes, toast, mushrooms, the whole 9 yards. And a cup of tea to wash it all down. So there you go. When you come here, come and have a meal first and then enjoy yourself in the museum. Jeff, tell me about this beautiful machine here. What year is it?
1964. It was bought in by General Motors for the 1964 Wellington Auto Show. So they put it on display there, which had red interior, but it was actually painted white. Mm-hmm. And a gentleman by the name of Ray Bryant visited the show, saw the car and thought, I got to have that. So he bought it from General Motors and had it for apparently not that long. Found the Wellington weather was not conducive to convertibles, so he didn't keep it very long. But it's one of only 67 made in Canada for right-hand drive. Most of that 67 would have gone to South Africa, England, Australia,
New Zealand.
Yeah, and New Zealand, obviously.
Yes.
How many came to New Zealand, I don't know yet.
Of the 67?
Yeah, of the 67, yeah. It could be the only one that came, I don't know.
So it's factory right-hand drive?
Factory right-hand drive, yeah.
Yeah, is the dashboard, I mean it's long and sleek, would that have been the dashboard that goes with it?
Yeah, so if you look at a left-hand drive 64 Chev, it's a completely different dash. They used the Pontiac right-hand drive dash in all General Motors cars of that era. So it saved them converting a whole lot of different dashes to right-hand drive.
Wow.
And they're all made in Canada.
They didn't make a small car, did they?
No.
What is this, 6 metres?
Yes, I'm not quite sure. It's long.
And you can open that boot and lie down. One thing I do like about this car, and the E.H. Holden was the same, is this little extra piece of the door. It's a little somewhere to rest your elbow.
Oh, yeah.
And I just remember of the 60s going down to the Majestic and Queen Street and other places. And remember the Bodgies and the Widgies?
Oh, yes.
Yeah, anyway, if they had a big American car like this with a bench seat, the girl would be right there, you know? And the bloke with his arm out the window, look at me. But if you didn't have a girl and you took this down Queen Street, I'm sure it wouldn't take you too long to pick up a girl.
Yeah.
Want to come for a ride? Gee, yeah.
Well, I think you think in 1964 when Ray was driving us around, that was pretty flash. I think it's a 64 with the Austins and Morrises, and this, you would have been someone a bit special to be heading down the road with the roof down and this thing.
Well, absolutely. I just love the little winder here for the spec window. Big, you can grasp the little knob here to lock it and unlock it.
Yeah.
The column change to put her into, which means that nothing's in the way. If you've got that thing up there, there's no gear stick getting in the way of whatever.
Yep.
It's just all lovely.
Column change.
Column change.
Yeah.
Do you get this out much?
Not as much as I used to. One thing is you find that, particularly in the middle of summer, it actually gets pretty hot.
Yes,
You find that either going out in the evening or early mornings are a lot more practical.
Sure.
It gets pretty warm in there.
Sure. I see you got Elvis Presley hanging from the...
Oh yeah.
Did he? I think he had Cadillacs, I think, didn't he?
He was a Cadillac man.
Yeah.
He's just a bit of the period.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One of the interesting things, Jeff, is this little book, Sing of the USA with Chevrolet.
Yeah, I think it shows you the sort of the feelings of the people at the time that, as a promotion, General Motors or Chevrolet would issue a book so the kids could sing along in the back seat, which today would be laughable. But at the time, of course, that's something you would do, have a little family gathering in the car as you're driving along and sing yourself a song.
There's everybody with the book open, happy dad. That's amazing. So there you go, that's a picture of the car and other cars on the back there. Marvellous. Anyway, folks, there's a lot more in the shed to look at, so let's have a look. Next door, we've got another Chev. You have this thing about Chevs.
Yeah.
Which is a 58, did you say?
1958, correct. Yep.
Left-hand drive, so where did you get this?
I bought this actually about 10 years ago out of Texas. I was fortunate at the time in bringing it in that I got all the details of all the previous owners, and I contacted them all except for the original owner. His father had when he passed away, his son sold the car, but everyone in France there I spoke to on the phone and told me all about the history of it. So I felt pretty confident that I was buying a good car, so
Sure.
That's what I did.
So you can get tricked, I think. It's beautiful, but when you sort of open this and open that, there's just rust and it's not as good as they said it was.
Yeah, no, I spoke to the person who actually painted it and reupholstered it, and he said, no, I was looking for a completely rust-free car, and I found this one that, as I said, from the original owner, his son was selling it, and he said, yeah, no, it was completely rust-free. All I did was repaint it and reupholster it.
And here it stands.
And here it stands now, yeah.
In 57, 56, 57, 58, Chrysler had turned out cars with fins, and the fins seemed to just get bigger and bigger, and I think Cadillac had the biggest fins. I think they had fins on top of fins.
Yep.
But I read a story that somebody from Chev had got wind of the fin idea, but they couldn't do anything about it because they'd already designed the car for next year and the year after that, and that didn't include fins. But fins, I think they made the car look extra special.
Well, they do, yep.
So this is the Chev style of fins. I just love the back here with those rocket ship tail lights.
Yep, they're Cadillac tail lights.
Are they?
Yeah,
Okay.
they're from a 58 Cadillac.
Right. Oh, that's flash. And this piece on the back here is called
Continental kit.
a Continental kit, and you had your spare wheel stuck out here so you didn't have to get into the boot, get it out. It was all easy peasy to get at. And that just locks into the chassis, I think.
Yeah, you just take the bumper off and put the extender arms back in and bolt the bumper back on again.
It's there, ready to go. But it certainly makes the car. Wow. Do you get this out much?
And again, not as much as I would like, but it grabs a bit of attention when it's out and about.
Sure, I'm sure it does. How do you find the left hook on New Zealand roads?
Fine, I've been driving them for many years now, and left-hand drive doesn't
worry you at all?
Doesn't worry me at all, no.
Wow, amazing. Anyway, there's more stuff to look at, folks, so after the break, we'll have a look at some more of Jeff's treasures. Well, I've come into the museum now, and just looking around, there's all sorts of cars from the 50s and 60s, 30s. There's a couple of 20s in here even, and It's a magnificent collection. So there's lots and lots of stuff in this museum for you to look at. Lots and lots of stuff that's going to take you right back to the day. And if you're new, well, there's lots of stuff here about New Zealand history. So if you come here, you're coming to Railside Place, which is off Rifle Range Road in Hamilton. Certainly worth a look if you belong to a car club or some sort of a club and you want a place to go. This is the place to come, and you can start off with a meal in the cafe. Come and have a look, enjoy yourselves. I absolutely recommend it. Going back into New Zealand history, it was the family who went to the beach for the school holidays, went to the beach for the summer holidays, Christmas, and not everybody had a batch to go to, so the caravan came into its own. And we've looked at a few, old caravans from the 50s and 40s, etc., but I haven't seen a caravan with a wrap round front windscreen like this one's got. Yeah, so maybe you could just tell me a little bit about this old girl.
Yeah, well, this was made in the early 60s by Sutton and Mason in Mount Roskill.
Mount Roskill?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And it was a two-piece mould, I believe, but as a part of promo when they made it, they actually took one to Lake Te Puke in Takapuna and floated it across the lake because being all fiberglass, obviously they could seal it. So that was a bit of a trick.
Wow. So just thinking how you have your little boat there, and in the holidays you could tow it into a little bay and it'd be like a little floating boat. Floating house on it. Maybe they did something like that in America, who knows?
They did, yeah. Americans actually built caravans that had a Pacific outboard mount on the back, so that when you got to your lake, you could push it in the lake and go across the lake with your outboard on.
Park in a little bay and enjoy yourself.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know for how long, but...
No. I just see some of the retro stuff you've got in it and around it, like the two DB Export beer bottles there. They were of the long shape back in the day.
Yeah.
And back in the day, they came in two dozen crates, so they were all 4 rows of 6. And I know when I was a kid, if the party was going on, if you attacked a crate, you took all the beer bottles out, you could repack them so they're all level on the top, but there was actually one missing.
Oh.
And so as kids, you go around the back, you drink that one, and when they put all the beer bottles back ready to take away to resell, you slip your one back in, and nobody really noticed that there was one missing when they started, but they were all there when they finished. And another chili bin there that looks like it's gone back in time.
Yeah, the Coleman chili bin.
And I think we had suitcases rather than soft bags.
Yep.
In those days, and so if you're going to run away from home, you had to cart a suitcase with you. Yep. And a little picnic basket, or little picnic set, picnic set there with the plates and the knives and forks and little salt and pepper shakers. Yep. These camping table. And it was all be packed in the caravan, so when you get there, you sort of spread it outside. Does this have an awning at all?
It's got an awning, yep. It's a red and white striped awning. A lot of the retro gear, I was fortunate that I collected a lot of it before the prices went up. It became very fashionable to have the retro stuff, and it was the same a bit with the caravan. I paid very little for it because who wanted an ugly looking caravan?
Well, I wouldn't have thought it was ugly.
I remember the bloke who sold it to me. He said, "Well, what do you want an ugly caravan like that for?" I said, "It'll you watch it. It'll come up." And so I bought it and had done it all up. But I know at the time I looked at many other trailers. Caravans and beautiful caravans at very low prices. But as usual, the wife won out. No, you're not having another caravan. Yeah. And when I look back now, what was hundreds of dollars are now tens of thousands of dollars.
And you get lucky sometimes, you know, with the retro stuff. I've had this since I was 15, and you've just put it away in a corner and forgotten about it. But now you're 78, and you bring it out, and you think, and everybody, shit, how much do you want for that? You know, and name your price, because they just don't make things like that anymore. You know, no, they don't. Yeah. Here's a little story, and Jeff, this is a very interesting set of, well, you've got a shaker to make up the cocktails, and you've got booze, and something to drink it all out of. And tell me about this.
Yeah, well, it was interesting. In 1963, an Englishman by the name of Bob Astle was working for Idi Amin in Uganda.
Idi Amin?
Yep. And,
they wrote a song about him. Idi Amin.
Yeah, not a very pleasant character. So in 1963 he bought himself a Buick Skylark convertible, and the car came with this lovely decanter set in the car as part of the package. And then as things got a little bit heated in Uganda and Bob thought he'd better go home, he sold the car to a Frenchman and went back to England. And the Frenchman, who was a diamond dealer, decided he'd ship the car back to England, as everything again was getting a bit hard in Uganda. So he shipped it back to England, but he didn't tell anyone that actually what he did was take this decanter and fill it with industrial diamonds. So when the car arrived in England, Customs picked it up, discovered the diamonds in the decanter set, and confiscated everything. So after a period of time, the car came up for auction in the customs auction, and a woman who was working, a New Zealand woman working for the New Zealand embassy, bought the car at the auction and sent it back to New Zealand, which it was here for quite a while, but then unfortunately the car caught fire and it was totally wrecked. But they didn't have the decanter set in the car at the time, so that was the only thing that survived the whole thing.
And now you've got it. So how come you've got it?
The fella I knew who told me the story of it, who worked for New Zealand Customs, I can't quite remember now how he ended up getting it from him, but he was a fella who knew all about it.
Right. So these just slide out. There's you just turn that way. Oh, and it's just a little. Well, maybe these four things are different ingredients to mix up in this.
Your cocktail.
Yeah.
Then you got your salt and
Salt and
if you want to mix whatever you want to do to that, and then of course to decanter it, you use your little funnel, and then that's a mixer.
1 ounce and 1.5 ounce.
Yep.
Measures. Wow. I just like that little hinge there. Just stick it on, and on the side it's got engraved Buick Skylark 1963. And as you were saying, just every component's got that stamped on it.
Yep.
Amazing. So there you go, folks. A little bit of history, great little story, and featuring Idi Amin.